Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
It's indeed that time again, Top 5 at 5. First time we've had a chance to have Gaardsy participate in the Top 5 at 5 since his Golden Gopher women's basketball team could not get out of the quarterfinals, right? Big Ten quarterfinals, by losing in uncharacteristic, sloppy, turnover-filled fashion, right? To the Fighting Illini. That was the key to it, correct?
To Ohio State.
Excuse me, I keep saying, to Ohio State. That's
21
exactly
turnovers.
Yeah.
Which is more than double their yearly
that's
average.
What I thought.
Yeah, they struggled with the quickness and the physicality of Ohio State's defense. When they beat them here a couple of weeks ago, they only had 9 turnovers for the entire game and shot the ball a lot better. I said that to Dawn. I said, turnovers seem to be the story, and she said that, and we couldn't make shots. I think they were 4 of 18 from 3. So now they wait basically until next Sunday.
A decent chance
Sunday.
They still host, or is that lost now?
It's not lost. I say, if you ask me today, I say they still host. The right bracketologists have them in the right spot. There's one little wrinkle that happened over the weekend that West Virginia won their conference tournament, and now they probably played them. I think that's what I told you when you asked me the day of the game. I said,
depends on maybe another team or two emerging.
Probably fine, but by not winning, they open the door to somebody possibly coming and taking it from them. Because someone's probably getting kicked out of the top 16 that was there a week ago. Most people think it's going to be Kentucky, not the Gophers, but who knows? Because West Virginia won their conference tournament, and now they are currently projected by some as a top 4 seed.
Is UCLA that much better than the rest of the Big Ten, given the way the championship game? Didn't they destroy Iowa by 30?
It was like 50.
Was it 50?
Yeah, it was 90-something to 40-something.
God, even worse than I thought. Maybe I gave up on it.
Which was... that was surprising. UCLA has run through the Big Ten.
Yeah.
They've very few. I think the Gophers played them to 13 here, and that was one of the closer games they had in Big Ten play. They ran through it. They're undefeated. They've got multiple top 10 WNBA picks. They're really good. Everybody's talking about UConn for good reason. I would love to see UConn and UCLA play because they're just really, really good.
Didn't UConn also win by 50?
Yeah, they always do.
I guess
in the Big East.
That's true.
The Big East is not very good.
Deep, yeah.
So yeah, it was. Yesterday was surprising, and I figured UCLA
so they'll find
would
out
win. Sunday night, 7:00.
Okay,
Williams Arena selection show watch party.
Nice.
They're letting people in. It should be cool. Doors open at 6. Where do I want to start? Here's the biggest news of the day for the Vikings. Remember how bad we felt about Sam Darnold leaving here and then winning a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks? We're getting something. We're getting something for it.
I'm looking at it. I'm glad I wanted to be sure you had it.
That's what I'm leading with.
Yes.
We're getting something. I feel like I don't know how compensatory picks work. 3rd round compensatory draft pick for Sam Darnold, 97th overall. It is the top pick among 33 comp selections awarded by the NFL.
Would you rather have the 97th overall pick or a Super Bowl trophy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A Lombardi. Well, I don't know what a Lombardi feels like. I don't even know. Like I told you, at this point, I'm ready just to get to the game.
Even if we lose by 50, once we get there.
It'd be something different.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd at least have the build-up and the anticipation.
Yes.
I've never even had that.
Are we going to get a compensatory pick for Daniel Jones? I don't know if that's established yet, but this is for Darnold, as you said.
Sam Darnold. So they now have 9 picks. 9 picks in the NFL draft, starting with the 18th overall selection in the first round. Let Brzezinski cook. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
You never know what he's up to?
No.
I'm worried about this defection or subtraction from the team. I love Jalen Naylor, and I know he's probably open a lot of the times because they had Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but I didn't love that we called him Speedy, but Jalen Naylor's good, and he's going to the Raiders. A 3-year contract worth up to $35 million with $23 million guaranteed. So I don't know if the Vikings made any real inroads at trying to sign him or bringing him back. They obviously have a lot of money invested in JJ, and I think they're going to kind of keep rolling with Jordan Addison, even though every year now he's found himself in some kind of trouble, whether it's the dog that we don't know about yet, the DUI stuff, the getting kicked out of a casino at like 3 a.m. There's always something going on with Addison, but they're still rolling with him. But Naylor is on his way to Vegas. Any thoughts there before I grab a couple of others?
I don't know. I mean, I guess this kind of means we're committing to Addison, right?
I think so.
Despite the hiccups and the off-field issues, I have to assume we're not going to allow ourselves to be that naked for either J.J. McCarthy or Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers, whoever indeed it might be. So I guess it kind of depends. You'd like to think you can discover a number 3 wide receiver. We don't have a lot of money. Obviously, we've gone a long way to improving our money situation by readjusting a lot of deals. We've made the tight end take a $5 million pay cut. In addition, though, he gets out from the last year of the deal. So he becomes, for better or worse, and maybe this will be better for the team, that he's playing now in his last year of his contract. Maybe that will motivate him a little bit.
I think it's better.
Honestly, I think, again, it's harder to evaluate any of these receivers right now, even if Hockenson was clearly overpaid on the basis of the difficulty that we've had at the quarterback position.
Ryan Wright is coming off his best season with the Minnesota Vikings, the punter, and he is parlaying that great season into a 4-year, $14 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. Wright signed with the Vikings as an undrafted free agent in 2022, had a 1-year deal as an RFA last spring, and was very good. Best punting average of his career. Only 3 of his punts resulted in touchbacks, 25 of them inside the 20. And Ryan Wright is on his way to the Saints. So, who are the Vikings bringing in? Well, as of now, they are bringing in former Steelers cornerback James Pierre, a 2-year deal worth up to $8.5 million. He follows, does Pierre, his former coach in Pittsburgh, Gerald Alexander, who just came to Minnesota to become the new defensive backs coach. He started 13 games over the past 6 seasons for the Steelers. He is 29 years old.
It is also probably worth mentioning that, we're still looking for a center. And I think Seifert did acknowledge this when we were talking to him about the Vikings void at the position right now, that one of the top, probably the top center free agent available, Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens, is going on to work with my Indiana University quarterback, Mendoza, as the number 1 center. He signs a ridiculous 3-year deal worth a reported $81 million. That's an average. I can do that math. That's on average $27 million a year. So
did you see
the Buffalo center had briefly been available, but then the Bills re-signed him. I don't know how many other options there are, but that's a massive hole for the Vikings that should not be overlooked with all the quarterback issues that we're dealing with. And I don't even know if they were ever going to be in the mix for Linderbaum based on that obscene money. But the fact is, he was one of the available options, one of the available viable options, and he is now gone.
Nathan McKinnon scored in regulation before getting the deciding goal in the shootout for the Avs yesterday. 3-2 victory over your Minnesota Wild. The Great Wall of St. Paul, he was the second star of the game. He was pretty good yesterday. Kaprizov had a goal. That was cool. Nico Sturm had a goal.
Had a great chance to steal it in the shootout, and we just could not. We just kept finishing one goal short.
So, as I pull up the standings, let's tell you where the Minnesota Wild are. Let's do wild card. That's important to people.
Well, we ain't catching the Lanch. We know that now for sure.
They have 95 points in a couple of games in hand. We are 10 points back there.
That's over.
But Dallas...
Can we catch Dallas?
Yeah, they have a game in hand on us as well, but they are 3 points clear of us right now, as they are 9-0-1 in their last 10. The Wild 7-2-1. So as I pull that up to let you know what's next for the Minnesota Wild, let me pull up the schedule because the games will be right here on the fan. It's Utah tomorrow night.
It's the rematch with the Woolly Mammoth.
Back home.
Back here.
At the X.
That's correct.
Which is recovered from the melee after the Edina Moorhead game on Friday night. Everything's good. And everything's been cleaned out from the state tournament.
If you check the Friday Wild schedule, you'll find that Bill Guerin is scheduled to join the Enough Said TV crew at Fox 9. They're already working on the set where we're going to all be kind of in anchor chairs.
Yes.
The 3 of us, and then Lori Fisher kind of in that back room she works out of.
The alcove,
The alcove is what we call it. So we're looking forward to, I think that will be, Lou Nanny has appeared on Enough Said.
Yep.
But I think this is the first time Billy Guerin has appeared, and he's going to be on the entire show with us, correct?
That's my understanding.
That's the plan.
Unless Lori asked him for too much stuff.
That's why I'm wondering if they said, they just said, we'll just do one like quickie segment with you and then you get out of there.
He knows better.
I think he should. I hope he does. For sure. Because we might as well milk it and have him for the whole show.
Yes, it should be good.
For sure.
All right, let's hit the straddle and stay on time.
Let's do it. And Ben Goessling to talk about a story I can't get enough of that has nothing to do with the NFL draft, nothing to do with free agency, nothing to do with the Minnesota Vikings. Stay tuned.
Fan.
One of the buzzwords around this town and a lot of towns in the world of sports the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years is collaboration. It's been thrown around a great deal. Alignment, another big buzzword. Heard a lot yet again about collaboration and alignment with Rob Brzezinski, an old school guy who seems to have maybe felt like he's got to adapt to using that kind of language. Is it possible that collaboration is in of itself old school as hell? It just maybe then wasn't attached to that kind of a buzzword. Example I want to bring to the masses here today, Gaardsy, is a conversation between your guy, Ethan Hawke, and somebody I don't know. I don't know who the other guy is. And it's, I think, this might be old as hell. This, stuff gets regenerated online. This might be from yesterday, or it might be from 5 years ago. I thought it was relevant again because we were just talking last week while you were out, the 60th anniversary of the infamous John Lennon controversy when he described in a newspaper article that ran originally in Britain that the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. And that caused record-burning parties to break out in parts of the American South, especially. It was not taken well. Well, I came upon somehow this distillation from Ethan Hawke of what he believes made the Beatles great. And he basically, without using the term, is defining collaboration then from the 60s, even though the cliche didn't become a cliche until much later. Let's listen to his attempt to sort of explain the value and why the Beatles worked beyond our belief that you had to have a favorite Beatle.
What's your take?
There is no such thing as your favorite Beatle.
100% disagree.
Disagree?
Yeah, dude, Lennon's the best Beatle.
You've never heard of John Lennon without Paul McCartney. The magic of the Beatles, the reason why you care about John Lennon, the reason why I care about John Lennon, is because of the chemistry. It's the combination that created the greatest rock band in the history of the world.
It is undeniable that what they did together is they were the sum of all parts.
And to say I have a favorite Beatle, it's like saying I have a favorite ventricle of my heart. It doesn't make any sense. This is a metaphor for mankind.
Elaborate.
You gotta have somebody you want to party with. You're going out and you're partying with the Beatles, right? Who makes the party happen? Ringo Starr. Here's the problem. If you're just hanging with Ringo, somebody please have a substantive conversation. Somebody's got to say, hey guys, why were we born? Why do we have to die?
And that's where George comes in?
And that's where George comes in. And somebody's got to take the piss out of George, who's just as smart of him. That's where Lennon comes in. And Lennon starts hogging the conversation. And then you got Paul. And Paul's like, hey man, why don't we play some music? Why don't we stop talking? Paul McCartney, one of the greatest musicians of all time, had to sing backup for All You Need Is Love.
Right.
John Lennon had to play rhythm guitar and sing backup for Hey Jude. What's that? It's called humility, kids. And this is why inside the Beatles, we see in them something larger than that, which is these four young lads from Liverpool. Liverpool, forgive me, all you Liverpoolians, is a shithole. These guys came from a really tough place.
Yeah.
They came from a really poor background, and they changed the world because they believed in each other and took care of each other, right? And that's the message of the Beatles.
Now, do we feel the same way about the Gallagher brothers?
Maybe not so much. Brilliantly written, put together by your guy, Ethan Hawke. I really think that is an effective job of explaining, and it really doesn't just have to be explaining the Beatles. You could say it's the old, the WHOLE is greater than the sum of the parts. So is that not the ultimate in collaboration, even if that wasn't a term that had to be used at the time? They just did it. They didn't have to have a name for it.
Or a meeting about it.
They just did it.
It was just them.
I thought that was very fresh. And again, it might have been from 5 years ago. I don't even know when he did. It's some Subway bit that he does.
Yeah.
And do you know who the other individual is?
I don't, but I like the concept. And I like the idea. They had mics on the Metro cards, and they were holding them there. It was very cool. That was the backdrop.
Yeah. Maybe I'll retweet it if people want to watch it, because it is even more effective.
Especially with the Gallagher brothers bit at the end, which was very good. Great follow-up.
It was very good as well. You're 100% right.
It does remind me, though, you know I'm a huge Seinfeld guy, both the comedian and the show. Mm-hmm. And I use this line all the time. I don't know why, but Jerry, when they were filming the last episode, which, as we all know, even he's admitted was not very good.
Yeah, right.
They didn't really end it the way that anybody wanted them to, and
I didn't think the last episode of Larry David of Curb Your Enthusiasm was all that great either. I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was great.
Cheers was pretty good, if you remember Cheers.
Yeah, that's true.
Sam Malone and the picture and the coach and the whole bit. But Jerry, as he tells the story, when they all huddled up at the end, so Michael Richards, Jason Alexander, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the four of them huddled up either before they were doing the last scene at some point during the last filming. And he said, when they think of one of us, they'll think of all of us.
Yeah, that's it.
That's an epic line.
It is. It's a great line.
And it's true.
It is true.
I think it's a great way to look at the same thing that Ethan Hawke was just talking about. You think of at least, you might not think of Ringo or George all the time.
No. But
you certainly think of Lennon and McCartney, and then you probably get to the others. It's very cool.
Well, and again, in the case, obviously, he went on to greatness, Seinfeld, beyond the show, but and others had their moments as well. And certainly with the Beatles, others went on to bigness, if not always greatness, including George Harrison, actually. I think remains the underrated Beatle, but they're still always going to be connected. As annoyed as they became of being defined that way, it was part of the continuum, one could say. And so they were always going to be connected to that sort of thing. And it was, in the case especially of Lennon McCartney, it was the tension of very different ways to look at music or to want to get out of music, but that when they worked together, as he said, it ended up being very, very effective. I liked the bit. I thought that was very well put together.
I like the part of humility too, being part of a team.
It's called Subway Takes. A couple people say there are some great episodes out there. Do they always involve Ethan Hawke, or is it different people? That's what I don't know. The Subway Takes.
Well, I'm sure the guy that we don't know is the host.
That must be the host.
Yeah,
you're right.
That would
That's
be
probably
my assumption.
True. Yeah,
and then he brings in different people.
So is that sort of like his version of Cars? Is it Cars?
Comedians and Cars getting coffees?
Yeah, getting coffees.
Yeah, probably
something like that.
Yeah,
that might have.
I would imagine
something to do with it as well. By the way, the president is still conducting the presser, and one of the headlines I've seen, see if I saved it, was exactly what we were talking about. I don't know if he necessarily proclaimed it over. I didn't save it. But he did say something to the effect of, here, it's Wall Street Journal. President Trump said military victory against Iran was at hand, starting a Monday press conference by telling reporters, we've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Now, that may or may not be true. But in Trump world, he just has to believe it, right? And if he believes it or wants to believe it, that could be the exit strategy. We're done. We wiped them out. Let's go on to the next thing.
Gas prices can get back to normal now.
Exactly it. So
he talked
the
about
only
that.
thing he did threaten was if you mess with the oil or the Straits of Hormuz, you try to blockade anything, we'll take you out, which is not particularly surprising given the importance of that area of the country. I think this presser is in Florida. Yeah, Doral, Florida, is where this is indeed taking place. And I had one more item I wanted to mention to you. Let me see if I can find it here on the... this is a history item that I got a kick out of. And I don't know what newspaper this was in, but this was 1944, okay? Dateline New York, New York, Associated Press. Here's your headline. New York police learn what a bagel is. The theft of a truckload of 1,560 bagel, by the way, singular bagel, confronted police with a mystery. They wanted to know what a bagel was. Sam Eder of Fisher's Bagel Bakery explained. He said a bagel was a roll with a hole in the middle. Some people liked them for breakfast. It was Manhattan's first theft of its kind. So the people apparently, part of the deal in the mid-1940s, even in New York,
which is known for
bagels,
yeah,
was discovering the existence of the bagel. And once upon a time, the plural of bagel was also bagel, apparently, for some reason. I don't know why. That's what they went with in the Associated Press
And
story.
now I just want a bagel.
I do too. I love bagels.
I know. Bagels are great.
I'm a big Bruegger's bagel guy.
How can you not be?
You know.
How can you not be?
Although I hearken back, my biggest disappointment with Bruegger's, and it's a sign of the times, there was a time when little Dan, well, it wasn't that little, but
younger Danny
Uptown
Barrero.
Danny Barrero could finish the show and drive to, it's right across the street from the Lunds in Uptown, go to Bruegger's for dinner and get like a turkey sandwich on a bagel at 6:30 at night. Bruegger's used to be open
until
like
country.
8 o'clock at night when it was a proper country. Those days apparently are over.
Nothing better.
Now they all close early.
Than when you saw in the back that those bagels were hot.
Oh,
they'd have the little sign saying, we just
What is your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I'm a plain guy. That'll surprise nobody. I'm the tasteless box of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
But I also, believe it or not, I like an everything bagel.
Do you really?
I like the everything, spice, whatever they call it.
I'm a sometimes sesame, sometimes
sesame's good.
Pumpernickel.
Sesame's good.
If you want to get a little less, I guess the sesame's have a little less sugar in it, the pumpernickel one.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like it as well.
When someone would bring a bag of bagels to school or something,
tremendous,
this is the best day of my life.
Are you a big cream cheese guy?
I'm not.
Yeah,
no.
I go hot and cold on cream cheese.
I'm not.
I don't mind just toasted with a little butter or whatever the case may
That'll
be.
work.
Or a sandwich.
That'll work.
Their egg sandwiches are very good. If they as long as the bagel gets crispy, as you know, that's the key to my existence.
It's huge.
And I've had to fight that battle for years in the Bruegger's community.
So I won't get you started on the soup.
You don't want to. I've kind of learned to deal with it. Or the cloudy spatzel. All right, let's do this. Let's make this bottom of the hour pause. Ben Goessling usually joins us on Friday. He's going to join us today, not so much to talk Vikings moves, although we might touch on it, but to talk marathon running. You might have heard about a dramatic to the loser, dramatic finish in the LA Marathon. We need a marathon man's view and analysis of exactly what took place, how unusual it is, and how historic it might have been. Ben Goessling on all of that next.
Okay, how close is Michael from here? Is he within eyesight from us?
He's in the last. I don't know.
Here he comes.
He comes right now.
Here he comes. So let's get right back down to the finish line so we can watch Michael cross the line here. Michael Kamau from Kenya.
Just over 2 hours and 11 minutes on the clock.
Whoa!
Nathan Martin. Nathan Martin.
Whoa! Oh my gosh! Wow! It is a photo finish for crowning of the 2026 A6 LA Marathon champion. I'm not sure.
Nowhere, because we can only see just a little bit beyond.
We have to see that playback to see exactly what happened there.
Well, they're stepping on each other's touchdown call, but we wanted to get you a little bit of the flavor of the coverage of the Los Angeles Marathon, the rather stunning finish to the 26.2 mile race in which it's a coronation for Michael Kamau of Kenya. That's what they're assuming. And then out of nowhere, here comes this American, I believe from Michigan, named Nathan Martin to chase him down. A marathon kick at the end, and it ended up being a photo finish. And indeed, Martin finishes just ahead of the guy who'd been pretty much in charge of the race from almost the beginning, which I think begins at Dodger Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. Who else do we talk to help better process this and to analyze it than our very own marathon man, Ben Goessling, of course, who also, as a sidelight, covers the Vikings for the Star Tribune. Have you ever participated in the Los Angeles Marathon?
I have not. I've run marathons in, I think, 3 different states.
Okay.
But not on the West Coast, no.
Okay, fair enough. So were you aware of this later? Did you watch it? Explain it to me, because I got to believe it's pretty unusual. You know, in those of us who grew up watching track and field on ABC's Wide World of Sports, we think of a kick in a 1,500-meter race. There was one of my favorite runners growing up, the guy named Dave Waddle, who his signature was he had the ball cap that he wore. And that's what he would do. He would lollygag through most of the race and still find a way with a late kick to win it. We don't usually think of late kicks when it comes to marathons, though, correct?
No, we don't, and not to that degree. I mean, you'll see the occasional, somebody's making a move late in a race, but to watch this, I mean, yes, it popped up on the socials yesterday and saw it from a number of different people, and you don't see somebody strike from that far out with that kind of a move in a marathon almost ever. And I sent it to my runners at Apple Valley this morning. We had our first day of track practice today, and I tell them all the time, a lot of what you can do to help yourself late in a race is get your feet turning over faster. They hear me yell quick feet probably more than anything else. If you watch the end of that race, and I think the winner, or the guy that was leading, may have just been gassed.
Yeah, he looked gassed.
I think thought he had it in the bag.
Yep.
But the rate at which Nathan Martin is turning his feet over was, to me, what changed that race. And the other piece of this, I don't know if this popped up as much, but the leader, I think a little further back, he probably in that last mile got led off the course. He gets taken off into a kind of a side of some cones and then has to stop for a couple seconds. And so you're not thinking it's going to be that big of a deal, but in this kind of a thing, when it's a couple tenths of a second, it absolutely was a big deal. So that piece of this goes into it too. It's the most bizarre marathon finish I've ever seen. I think the Olympic women's marathon a couple of years ago in Paris came down to a kind of a sprint at the end, or at least as close to sprinting as you're going to get at the end of a race like that. But to see it be at the tape where the guy's diving for it and the tape's already broken and he falls, it's going to be one of those that you see for a long time. Unfortunately for the guy that was second, probably in some memes, but yeah, it was a pretty unique thing to see yesterday. Well, that's for sure.
What fascinates me about it is you can look at it from a detached view and you're watching it and you want to go to the guy who's ahead. He's gaining on you. But when it's a marathon, and again, you can speak to this far more than I can, I assume if you're gassed at the end of 26 miles, you're gassed. You literally might not have it in you to take any other kind of gear other than I'm going to continue to go at the pace I've gone because I've got nothing left.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, my last marathon, I ran Grandma's marathon a couple of years ago and felt really good at the end. So I was moving at the end, but not like that. I mean, you don't see people change gears the way Nathan Martin did from that far out. So, yeah, the leader, I mean, I've been in marathons many times where you're trying to finish, and if somebody forced me in a situation like that, say, hey, you've got to change the gear and hammer it here, there have been races where I don't know that I would have had that much left because it's a different kind of, it's not like you're out of breath and your lungs are on fire. It's just the dull ache of my legs don't want to turn over anymore because they've been thrashed for this long. So he may not have had an answer to it. He looks back a couple times in the clip and I'm kind of thinking, dude, if you can hear him coming, I would hope that you would answer with just a couple of steps and that would end it. But he may not have had that much left. I don't know exactly, but yeah, it was quite a stunning finish because even when you're watching him, look, he doesn't have enough time. There's no way he's going to catch him in this amount of time. No
chance.
He managed to squeeze in right at the tape.
When you saw that last stretch, I'm saying, well, this is a noble effort, but there's literally not enough time to do it. Apparently, that they both on the preliminary results sheet, they both finished with the same time, 2:11, 16.50. Yeah. But then it ended up being, I think, literally a photo finish, correct? That's how they determined the winner in this case.
Yeah, it is. And it got down to the thousandths of a second.
Thousandths of a second, right.
Been on the I've been on the business end of one of those.
Really?
In a high school 4x8 about 7 years ago. We got outleaned at the line and it took 2 hours to go down to the thousandth of a second to find out that we were third and the top two went to state. So I have been on the very bitter end of that before, or the teams I've coached have been. So, yeah, they take it down to, I mean, basically what they're doing is the camera will have stop motion stuff, and they're basically taking, you know, like you'd hit burst mode on your phone or something. They're taking photos that quickly, and you can see who came through first. The tricky thing sometimes with it is the tape is not the official finish line. You know, you see them hit the timing mats,
right, yeah.
And that typically is kind of what they record. So I almost wonder if it was one of those where they said, look, the guy made the effort. He did break the tape first. We have to give it to him, and let's put the times accordingly. But, yeah, when the Kenyan, I think, hits the first timing mat before the American does. So it was one of those, to me, even that was kind of unusual. But, yeah, I think it was one of those when you see it happen and you know it's going to be everywhere. He did break the tape. I mean, that's what everybody obviously is straining for. You see both of them straining to get to the tape. So, you know, but yes, it's they ended up, I mean, the results that you see are on the hundredths of a second, but I'm sure they took it down to the thousandths to see who split the hair first.
Apparently, there was another competitor, a Kenyan named Priska Chirono, I may be mangling that last name, led from mile 1 to mile 26. And then Kamau ends up. So here's the other thing. You tell me what this means. At the 24.8 mile mark, Kamau's time was 2:03:40. Martin was 2:04:36. So that's basically, even I can do that math, a minute behind. So is that a ridiculous amount to make up, given you're down to basically the last mile and a half?
And yes, that is insane. I mean, you do not see, especially when these guys are moving this fast. I mean, we're talking people running sub 5 minute miles, through that's their marathon pace. So you don't make up that kind of time with that little to go. I mean, I read a couple things with him this morning. I think he said 5 miles left, he started to make a move because nobody else was moving. And then he said, I think, half mile out or something, he saw far enough up, or he saw the guy with a half mile up the road, and he said, I'm going to catch this guy. So the level of composure that it takes to say, I can reel this guy in, even if it seems like it's going to be too late, that takes a level of grit and a level of tenacity that is not something you see very often. I've coached at Augsburg this year as well, and Mohamed Bati was our top runner at the national meet. He got tripped in the first half mile and falls down, and he's in like 130th place. But you can either say, well, it's not my day, or you can panic and try to sprint and get yourself in trouble that way. So the level of composure that I'm just going to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it, and I can reel the guy in. That takes a level of mental toughness that the physical part of this is involved, but the mental toughness that goes into this is commendable for Nathan Martin as well, I think.
So when we're talking about, runners at this level, either winning events like this or competing for winning in events like this, how does one, based on your experience, I get how you train physically, how do you train mentally? How do you prepare yourself mentally to give yourself the best chance?
That is the biggest part of the job. It is, running is a mental game as much as anything else. And Eliud Kipchoge, who was the world record holder, was the Olympic champion a couple times, broke 2 hours in a kind of time trial type setting. And people say, well, it's not the official world record. It's like, the guy still ran 1:59. Somebody had to go do it. So I don't really take much away from him for that. But a lot of what he talks about is the thing that I have gotten better at is my mind and understanding that I can make peace with the pain. I'm not going to freak out if I'm in a little bit of pain. Right. It's not that my body is shutting down. It's the check engine light in the car, that kind of stuff. And understanding that being in a little bit of discomfort, being in a little bit of pain, even if it gets to be pretty significant, it doesn't mean everything is stopping and shutting down, and understanding that I can ride through the discomfort is part of it. And marathon training is it's different than a lot of other distances. It's a lot about just putting a lot of mileage on your legs. And there are other things to it too. You want to get to the point where you can run fast in a race, especially if you're at that level. There's, components of workouts that you'll do to try to help yourself be more efficient. But a lot of it is just mileage matters, and you'll see elite marathoners probably putting in, 130, 140 miles a week a lot of times. When I've done them, I've probably gotten up to 65, and just that's kind of all I felt I had time to do. And I'm fast enough to qualify for the Boston Marathon in just under 3 hours, but I'm not on this level, not even close to this level, and I don't expect I will be. But a lot of it is, it takes a lot of time. It's putting in the miles, it's recovering, it's refueling, it's treating your body well. It's just a lot of repetitive, consistent, kind of monotonous kind of stuff. And some people gravitate to that, and people that do tend to do pretty well on race day.
Well, the event itself can be monotonous to the extent, in terms of watching it, to the extent that it takes so long. Obviously, that's probably part of the reason why it's not the most popular, not the most compelling TV all the time. But I've said before, if you could guarantee those kinds of finishes, it probably would be a lot more popular. It's just that's easier said than done. That's the point of that. I think it kind of proves the point about how challenging this sort of thing is, to try to make sure that there's an actual horse race at the end of a marathon.
Yeah, that is not something you see very often. I think it has become a little more common for whatever reason. I think people are just the fields are getting more competitive. Everybody around the world is getting faster. Everybody's getting smarter about how to train and the shoes they wear and how to fuel and all of that kind of stuff. So you see kind of the differences getting a little bit smaller over time. But, yeah, this is not something you see very often. I will say that in shorter track and field races, you see it all the time. I mean, those things get pretty exciting, and everybody's like, well, everybody gets fired up about the Kentucky Derby. That's 2 minutes around a track. It's like a lot of the shorter track and field races are the same thing, and it's the same length of time. It's the same, level of competitiveness, level of a close finish. I mean, it's not as much gambling, obviously, that goes into horse racing, but those races, I think, a lot of times in the Olympics, the 800, the 1500, some of those things, there's a little bit of time for it to play out, but it's going to be close. Those make pretty good TV, and they're pretty rewatchable on YouTube and that kind of thing as well. So people tend to be like, I'm not going to get that into this, but like, no, it can be pretty exciting TV in those settings, and obviously, if you get something like this, it's pretty compelling too, like you say.
0.01 seconds ended up being the difference between the two. I thought you might be inspired in part because, as I mentioned, Nathan Martin is a high school track coach in Michigan. I mean, that's that's not all that different from what you're up to. I thought that might be your inspiration right there.
Yeah, I saw it this morning, and I figured you'd ask me about that. It's like, I am fast enough. Like, my marathon PR is 2 hours and 58 minutes. So it's not shabby. And I think there's probably a better one in there for me yet based on my times at shorter distances. But I'm fast enough to be in a race like that and finish relatively high. I am not anywhere close to fast enough to win it. I mean, the fact that guy came through, I mean, that performance will be it will make him legendary in the distance running world. So for him to go back to coaching that group after this, I can only imagine what it's like when he walks back to his team. Like, so guys, how was your weekend? You might have seen me on TV, you might have seen me on Instagram.
That's so good.
Reels, and so it's going to be one of those things where it's like you want to. I mean, when you're talking to high school kids, it's like I say things sometimes 10 times, figuring you might catch one of them, you might catch 10% of it, but now it would be like, hey, you guys might want to listen up to what I have to say. I might have something to offer to you. So I imagine his return back to his team is going to be quite the scene if that hasn't happened already.
How old are you?
I am 43.
Okay, so what is considered, I don't even know. I mean, like, what's considered prime national competitive marathon age?
Well, it can be in your 30s. I mean, I think you've seen, I mentioned Eliud Kipchoge. I think he set the world record in his late 30s and won Olympic gold, I think, in his late 30s. I believe he's a year younger than me. And obviously Nathan Martin is in his mid-30s. So you see guys, Kelvin Kiptum had broken the world record before he was tragically killed in a car crash a couple of years ago. He was in his 20s. And, certainly you're going to be that athletic peak of 27, 28 years old is in play in this world just like it is in other things. But the sports that require top-end speed, require more explosiveness, you tend to see people fall off more noticeably than you do in races that it's based more on endurance-type skills. I mean, your slow twitch muscle fibers, if we want to get technical about it, don't deteriorate as quickly as your fast twitch muscle fibers do. So you see a football player lose a half step, and that sometimes can make the difference between being good enough or not. In this world, it's the nice thing about it is that the decline is relatively small, especially if you train the right way. And, frankly, now with the shoes, you can make up a lot of those things. So, I mean, my times now are, even in shorter stuff, it's faster. I didn't break 5 minutes in a mile until I was 31.
Really?
And now and last year I think I ran 4:50. So I'm sort of performing better in my old age than I did in high school. And some of that is just, I've gotten smarter about it. I've gotten probably mentally tougher. Those things play into it. But the beauty of the sport, as my high school coach, Raleigh Greeno, always liked to say, is it's a lifelong sport. You can do it until you're, 70, 80 years old. And the decline doesn't happen as significantly as it does in other things. So it makes it so that you have quite a long life in it, really.
Todd's got a question that's kind of a callback to an earlier part of the show in which you might not have been listening. Did Ben's relay runners rip off their third-place medals and throw them down after they got beat? That's a bit of a throwback to the medal reaction at the state high school hockey tournament. Yes.
Did your guys handle it better?
No, they didn't. No, they did not throw them down after they got beat. It was pretty tough to take. I remember just all of the waiting, but no, they got on the podium. They kept them. But
Good job.
I remember feeling pretty dejected for them, and just for me too. But yeah, it was. I saw that happen. I think Hibbing did it, and then Minnetonka did it later, and. It seemed like it's probably one of those things where one guy does it and then it becomes the thing that everybody's doing. So everybody's trying to fit in. But, it was, both those teams got their hearts ripped out in that setting, and that's hard to take. But the visual of it is, I'm sure, going to inspire a lot of reaction. It probably has. Here's
what's interesting to having you on here, and this is not the original intent, but you're really in a unique position because you are a reporter. You've grown up in that, and yet you are also a coach, right? And you take that stuff very seriously. That's important to you. And so you can kind of speak to the coach part of this, because I think that was the other big issue that came up after Saturday night was, all right, the kids didn't show up for the presser. Okay, they're devastated. They're young. Yeah. But the coach, does he or she have a responsibility in a situation like that? Would you feel like you have a responsibility, or do you come at it from some unique perspective? You say, I kind of get it. Even though I've grown up as a reporter, I kind of sort of understand why the emphasis might be on something else, like just staying with your team.
Well, I'm sure that's what they said. I guess I feel like in that kind of a setting, if you're going to do it, if you win, if you're going to take all the shine when you win, there is, I think, the decent thing to do is say, we're going to come out and talk about it and answer questions and let people kind of feel some of the feels with us, so to speak. I can remember, this is kind of an odd component of this, but I remember when I ran the Boston Marathon, I had a bad day. Like, I cramped up. The last 10 miles were a lot of run walk. I just had a terrible day, but I had written a story before the race, talking about how I trained for it while covering Vikings free agency and everything. And there had been, I had at least kind of drawn attention to the fact that I was running the race. And I remember getting done thinking, I remember telling myself, I want to write. I want people to hear what this was like, and I want to share my experience. Mm-hmm. I also just feel like if I'm going to draw attention to myself when it's good, and I ask athletes to do this, to answer the bell when something didn't go well, it was my responsibility to do that too. Not that anybody was asking for that, but
right.
I guess I say all that to say, I think there is an element of sportsmanship. You say, you show up and say, it's hard, but I think it communicates something to kids about the right way to lose. And I understand the points about wanting to stay with your team and wanting to be in that moment with them, but you can do that and still come out and talk to reporters, certainly. And we've all been in settings where coaches take a while to get out because they're with the team. And I think there's a message that comes from that about we can still lose with dignity. We can still lose with sportsmanship. And I think those are ultimately, kids are watching everything you do, every message you send, verbally, non-verbally. They're picking up on all the cues. And I think that was an opportunity probably to send a certain message that, I would have liked to see done a little bit differently, but I understand there's a lot of emotions in that moment too.
Is this the first time we've ever had you on, or you've ever been on the radio for upwards of 20 minutes, and there's not been a single football-related question?
It might be. I think I'm trying to think if there's been any others. We've probably talked about some high school stuff here and
we
there.
have done that. That's true.
But
yeah.
I think it's probably pretty rare, at least in my time on the Vikings beat. Yeah, that's
good. Then.
On day one of free agency.
And to be honest,
we'll get back to all the other stuff. But.
Well, yeah, there's always time for that, and I just don't think also today there's been enough bigness to it that we have to necessarily double down. Yeah. We had Seifert on earlier. Gaardsy, you were going to say?
I have one question, Ben, to follow up. And speaking of medals and LA Marathon, how do you feel as a finisher of marathons that the Los Angeles Marathon, because of the warm weather in the forecast, allowed runners to take a detour at mile 18, basically do a shortcut, and still collect the finisher medal?
Nope. Don't like it. The Michael Scott meme that nope, don't like that. I've been in. I mean, my Boston Marathon was hot. It was like the hottest one in 7 or 8 years. It was 75 degrees.
I told you to go slow, man. I gave you the race course. I told you to go slow. Don't be a hero in the first 15. I told you that.
I listened. I thought I listened, but then I didn't adjust it enough for the heat. But I remember thinking, mile 18 of that race, you go to the expo thing, and I'd already bought this jacket, and I'm thinking, I'm not wearing this jacket if I don't finish this race, because if I have it on, everybody's going to ask me, oh, well, how did it go when you ran it?
Yeah.
I tell the story a million times. I just remember thinking, I'm finishing this freaking race and getting my medal. So, I understand it was hot, but yeah, I don't like it. I think it's a marathon. It's 26.2 miles. The first guy to run it, according to the legend, died at the finish line. So, I think if you're not going to finish it, you probably shouldn't get the medal.
Yeah, I'm glad, Gaardsy,
to get the medal.
That was brought to my attention. I'm glad. That's great done as material. It's basically a semi-participation medal, right? I mean, you got to go to a certain distance, but that's what it amounts to, which I don't think anybody wins doing that.
And even me, not Ben Goessling, I have completed 2 marathons.
There you go.
The New York City Marathon, they both took me 6 hours.
But you finished.
Yeah.
One time, I was literally, the street sweeping vehicle was behind me.
Waiting.
Like, come on, dude.
Let's go.
And no joke, out of 50,000 runners, I was like 49,000. But I finished both of them. I finished both of them, so it might take you a while, but you got to go do it.
It's 100%
so I think I'm on Ben's side.
And there are millions of people, even if you were number 49,999, there are millions of people who wouldn't have the cojones to step to the line and do it.
No,
so
that's
even
100% true. Yeah.
You're last and you finished it, you still finished it.
Yeah, that's different. That's
Doesn't London celebrates the last finisher, right? They make a big deal.
Yep.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, they make a huge production. It's always pitch black.
There you go.
If they would have had that in New York, I would have slowed down because it was pitch black. My mom and wife are in Central Park. They don't know where they are.
You don't want to be like 30th to last. You want to be last in that situation, right?
Biblically bad.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it right.
That's exactly it. 715 guy says, great. What's the text he's looking for? Great to hear. What a great segment hearing the other side of Ben. See, we're making you multidimensional. We're humanizing Ben Goessling. You're more than just a football writer. See?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
the beauty of it.
I think the first Sunday morning I was hosting for you, I think I had Kara Goucher on. So it was right before I was running Boston.
Oh,
so
nice.
Okay. There too. So
perfect.
Yeah, any chance I get to talk running in addition to football, I'm always up for it.
It's a lot of fun.
So, yes, I'm glad we got to do it.
We'll talk later in the week. Thank you.
All right, sounds good.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you. Ben Goessling covers the Vikings. Today we didn't talk any Vikings with him. I'm kind of proud to say we got plenty of Vikings chatter in early with Kevin Seifert, and there will be more to come this whole week. Believe me, by the time we assume Ben Goessling joins us on Friday. final half hour of a Monday edition of the Bumper to Bumper program. Barrero and Gaardsy with you until 6:30 this evening. We have devoted, I think, a responsible amount of time to the quarterback discussion. It's going to be ongoing until a decision is made, obviously. Well, actually, it's never going to stop because even if the Vikings announce the signing of a veteran quarterback, and even if they proclaim he will be our starter, the discussion will never stop, right? Because if in training, all the way to training camp, because if in training camp, said anointed starter struggles, well, then it'll start all over again, right? If he's great,
yeah,
the story will sustain itself for a different, more positive reason. But I want to submit one theory that I'm starting to weary of. And I blame, to a certain extent, our head coach for this theory gaining so much momentum to almost to the point where it has become a cliche. And that is his comment a couple years ago about franchises failing quarterbacks more than quarterbacks failing franchises.
Correct.
I think there are occasions where there's some truth to that, but I'm hearing it even in relation to Kyler Murray's struggles. And here's my pushback. At any point, does the player, or in this case the quarterback, have any responsibility for getting better or for figuring some things out, whether the coaching is quarterback whisperer level or somewhere in between? I think it's now become too easy to assign blame every time in totality to the coaching, and it's, I think, letting some quarterbacks off the hook a little bit too easily. And I don't know how good the coaching was for Kyler Murray. I know he wasn't with a great, established, heavyweight organization, but I think it's become a little bit too easy to put all of it on the coaches. Some of it's on the player to get better, to learn, because I don't think there's that many idiots coaching. I really don't. I think some are clearly better than others, but in terms of teaching offense or teaching passing fundamentals or whatever the case may be, come on, man. The player himself has to take, I think, some accountability or responsibility. Otherwise, you're making it sound like, well, it's just a matter of it's all coaching. No, some players get better than others because guess what? They learn from their mistakes. They grow. They adapt. They mature. They figure out that the way they tried to go about their business, let's say in college, is probably not going to work at the next level, and it might take them a minute to figure that out, but they do. So, look, it may well be Kyler Murray's going to be the guy, and he might well come in here and be effective, right? Speaking of cliches, the new one is the Vikings won 9 games with nothing happening at the quarterback, essentially.
Yep.
Nothing happening at the quarterback position. And maybe he will make the difference, but that's letting Kyler, or any QB, I would say, who's struggled, I would say the same as Sam Darnold, off the hook. And I also think we get into this business of, look at Darnold. What happened there? Nobody thought he was going to do it, and that's true. Does that mean it's going to happen every time? No. We tend to remember the reclamation projects only when they work out. We do not remember the ones that don't. I'm not talking about just here, because we need a wider cross-section. It's got to be more than one team to really determine how often these reclamation projects, in the name of you can't give up on a player or you can't give up on a quarterback necessarily, I think it's a lot more complicated than that. So I want Kyler Murray to assume some responsibility, or if it's not him, that we can put some of the responsibility on him for some of the things that did not go particularly well. Is this going to be his 9th year? Will you look that up? I think he's played 8 years in the league. He's only 28. but I think this was he just finished his 8th year in the league. His last 4 years, he finished 25th, 16, 20, and 23rd in old-fashioned NFL passer rating. And he's won exactly 0 playoff games. He's been in 1. And look up his numbers in that playoff game. He was dreadful. Now, you could say that was a long time ago. You can say whatever you want. But the record's the record. Okay? And I think we have to at least be honest enough about going in with our eyes open without, putting this lacquer on his career, what do you have around him? And, so much of it wasn't his fault. I don't think the story was made up about the concern, even about study habits.
Right.
I mean, I think that was a well-reported story. Now, you could say it got exaggerated. You could say he became then epoxied to it in a way that was unfair as he continued in his career. But the idea that he has almost no responsibility for the fact that a team that still has to pay him, what is it, like $36 million?
Yeah,
whatever
I think
the
that's
number
right.
is.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
To just go away is still willing to say go away. That, I think, has to tell you something as well.
He just wrapped up his seventh season
year, I apologize.
in
Okay.
Arizona
in
the NFL. That 2021 playoff game, he was 19 of 34, 137 passing yards, a couple of picks.
Yeah. So
got sacked a
who
few
did they
times.
play? Did it say? Can you tell?
I can find that
What year
for
was
you.
that?
That was 2021.
I don't even remember that playoff game.
Like the COVID year, basically.
Okay.
When...
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Or the year after. It might not have been the COVID year. It was the year after.
Part of the...
they played the Rams and lost 34-11.
Oof.
The year the Rams won the Super Bowl.
That was their Super Bowl. Okay, well, it's a good team. Obviously, there's that part of it. So, I don't know. It's... I just think it's never all of one thing. Texter guy, 218 guy writes, the coaching staff has gotten 0 blame when it comes to McCarthy, otherwise good points. Well, that's not true, not on this show, certainly, that the coaching staff has received 0 blame when it comes to McCarthy. That's just flat out false. If you want to go back and do the podcasting, you can. I think the question on McCarthy is whether they over-evaluated him in a couple of key areas that because how many times have we talked about the arrogance of what they expected? They clearly, even with him sitting a year due to injury, did not think he was so ill-prepared for the job that he would struggle to the degree he did. They just didn't. If they would have had another answer. Now, allegedly, that answer was supposed to be Daniel Jones. We don't have to go back over that story entirely. But it's much more complicated than that. Did they over-evaluate his readiness, not necessarily his potential, but his readiness? Now, ultimately, it could well be his potential. That the evaluation process was not very well done, and he's just going to be one of those guys forever known as a great college player who led his team to a national championship or was a part of that and just never became quite the guy that many of us, including me, projected of him having a chance to become at the pro level. How about the top of the and by the way, people are setting out what were Darnold's stats in the playoff loss. I don't know if the point there was you are literally bringing up the one example to prove your point. If you will be willing to do your research and note that there are many other examples of reclamation projects that did not get reclaimed, then I would believe you. But if you're going to base everything on Sam Darnold's reversal, yeah, it's an easy argument to win. It just is a little bit too close to home, for me at least, and a little bit too convenient to say, case closed. And there can be no question that on that basis, you could say there's like 5 quarterbacks who could come in and be the answer. And I'm not sure that there are that many. I'm not sure if there's even one. Well, other than, of course, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper Show Wrap.
I guess the best piece of news Vikings-related today isn't that we got a depth corner. Never hurts, but I don't think that'd be at the top of the list. It has to be that we've been officially awarded a third-round compensatory pick as a result of Sam Darnold moving on to the Seattle Seahawks, who I think feel good about. Well, that's fine. Actually, it's not their pick to give up, I don't think. But regardless, we get the pick. That's the 97th pick overall, I think you told me?
Yes, and I believe I read it's the highest compensatory pick that was awarded.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Super Bowl quarterbacks.
Third-round picks are well thought of. That's good currency.
They can be.
It can be. Yeah, you draft well.
They can be.
That's true, which has been a very, very big issue here. So that's the biggest news. There's nothing yet on the Kyler Murray front. There's nothing left on the center front because we need one. There's nothing left or nothing new on the interior defensive line, even though we got some young guys that we kind of like. The assumption is we might need a little bit of veteran help there. And we've got nothing in terms of the running back position, although we may feel like we can do something via the draft there. I don't know. So there's a lot of, I guess you could say, open question. We did lose our number 3 receiver. I think you're more down about that than me.
Yeah, I like Jalen Naylor.
That's Jalen Naylor. So we got to work that as well. So we'll see. As the week develops, I think a lot of people think Wednesday is going to be the day. At the quarterback, although Kevin Seifert, who joined us between 3:15 and about 3:40, said that one of the reports is that on the quarterbacks like Murray, they might want to do the old visit thing, which he said is unusual, but he thinks possible. So might that slow down this process? I don't know. Just because everybody else thinks that this is the place for him to go, I don't know if that necessarily means he believes it's the place he has to go. That's the open question, which we hope to get answered here as quickly as possible so we can move on with the rest of our lives. In addition to Seifert today, Johnny Athletic, a very, shall we say, what's the word I'm looking for? Aggravated.
Yeah.
Inspired.
Daylight savings time messed with him, I think.
Johnny Athletic, especially once we talked about post-game championship conduct by high school players and coaches. He was on it in a very, very big way.
That was unbelievable.
And we may have gotten to the bottom of part of the reason. There might be some baggage going all the way back to the Blaine Bengals days. Who's to say? That was, as I said, between 4:50. Johnny was 4:02 to 4:30.
Yep.
A bonus Ben Goessling to talk nothing but marathon running. If you're wondering why, Google LA Marathon News. And if you've not watched it or paid attention to it, a remarkable finish in that race where a high school track coach out of Michigan comes out of literally nowhere to steal the race at the button, at the wire, so to speak. We had a lot of fun talking about that and his own marathon running, his own history, and just the stunning nature of that late comeback and perhaps even the reasons for it. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day, too. Luigi will make his weekly appearance. I assume he's not here, right?
No.
Not in town.
No.
And in studio, Lou Ragoose. He's got a new book.
Mastermind. A true story of obsession, survival, and justice.
Well, his last one was brilliant.
Vanished in Vermilion.
And we had him here in here for it, didn't we?
We sure did.
So the beauty of it
comes
Lou
out tomorrow
is we can talk about the book, which comes out tomorrow. We can talk about some stories he has been covering the last several weeks here in the Twin Cities. I think there were some more hearings today on fraud issues at the state legislature. So we'll cover a lot of ground with Lou when he joins us in studio.
Maybe his high school football career. We did that once.
Did he ever win a medal and then take it off angrily and then throw it to the ground and stomp on it?
I'm sure he remembers his final game when he had to take the pads off for the last time.
Probably did.
I'm sure he remembers.
That's very, very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true, Davey, for sure. By the way, Andy Luger promises the next time he comes in to bring authentic bagels. He heard our bagel conversation, and in the bagel community, there's some snobbery. Like if you grow up with certain bagels,
Big
you
time.
go Minnesota. Come on, man.
Right, Brugger's.
Are you out of your mind?
Are you nuts?
But I also, you are where you are, so part of it is what you adapt to a little bit. So he also expresses now some consternation about where he's a J.J. McCarthy guy. He's completely committed, so he's feeling a little bewildered about where the Vikings are going with this thing. So maybe we'll try to get him. Maybe we just talk sports with him one time. Former player.
He's
former
got
lineman.
opinions. Yeah, college football player.
That's exactly right. So maybe we'll try to get him in here soon when it works for his schedule as well. Fan on Demand tonight, and that will be followed by the inimitable Dan Patrick. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we will talk to you tomorrow beginning at 3.
Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the great time. We love you, Dan.
Well, go Twins. Thank you for the airtime, and I'll talk to you soon.
The job is done. We can go home now.